Let's assume you run a business, and in that business you have different departments and different sections, and you sell some goods or products into your store. You have a store, a physical store where you sell goods, and customer comes and purchase the goods. Now you have customers table and the orders which they have placed onto your orders, onto your store. Now you want to get out the information which is important for you, but there are certain challenges to it. You don't want to make the query complex, you don't want the query to be less secured, and you don't want it to be uh, monotonous, or it has to be reusable. So to solve these all questions, what you will do, so here comes the concept of SQL stored procedure. Hi there, my name is Mosam Ali, and today we are going to discuss about stored procedures, how stored procedure works, and what is the advantage of it. Okay, let's assume a situation where you run a small business, you have a small store, but you have different departments inside it. You have sales department which manages the sales of of that particular store. Then you have finance department which take cares of all the information related to the finances, how much cash flow is in, what is the cash flow, what is the out cash flow inside that business, that is dependent on the finance department. Then you have the uh, uh, HR department, or which department is basically responsible for the hiring new resources for your organization or for your store, so that your store can run smoothly 24 by 7 throughout the year. This is what our requirement is. And now, once these departments work simultaneously, we also are growing as a business, as a unit. We are growing. So, to analyze that growth, in what direction that growth is it in a positive direction or in a negative direction? Are we in an upward trend? Are we following an upward trend, or are we following a downward trend? These informations are also very important. So how we are going to do that, so that we grows as well as our customer satisfaction is also there. So our customers are also satisfied. The more customers are satisfied, the more likely they will come and come to us again, and they will buy from us. That is the simplest formula which we are using. Now, what is the challenges we face? We are focusing on one simple example over here, that when we are dealing with a complex situation, like we have customers table and the orders table, which we have already seen into our previous video, which is related to subqueries in SQL. We are continuing the same problem and the same statement with a variety of stored procedure. Now, assume a situation where we have a customer table which has the customer ID, the customer name, and the customer geolocation. Okay, then we have the orders table which have order ID, which have customer ID, and the amount which they have purchased. Okay, now we have a situation where we wanted to get the information of the customers who has bought more than 10,000. We want their name, their location, and their values. So like their customer ID, their name, and their location, these are the three values which we want from customers table. So we are using a subquery with this orders table, where we are validating a condition where amount is greater than or equals to 1000. Now I have written this query, and when I execute this, I will be getting these two records, because if I execute this, you can see I have only two records which has greater than 10,000 amount, that is this greater than or equals to 10,000, oh sorry 1,000. So 1,000 is for order ID 1 and customer ID 101. So 101 is Samir and the next order is 102, that is the customer ID is 102 and the order ID is 2. Now it is 1500. So Ankit and Samir are the two candidates which will give me the desired result of it. Okay, so this is how Ankit and Samir came into as a result. Okay, these are the two records which will I will get. Now if I want to create a stored procedure, what is the stored procedure and how it is useful for me and what are the advantages of it? So first of all, we will be using how we will be creating a stored procedure the same way we create a table. Create table, table name. Create procedure, procedure name. That is the way we will create. And this at the rate sign is used for declaring a variables. Okay, so the syntax would be create procedure, procedure name. And if we want to declare, this is completely optional. If we want to declare any variable, we will be declaring right away. We will not be writing a declare uh, keyword. Okay, before it we will be declaring the variables whatever we want to declare, and then as, and then begin, and within begin and end we will be writing our query. So this query, whatever query we have created in SQL subqueries, I have written the same query over here, but what I have done here, instead of making it hard coded, I have given it over here so that whenever I want to change it, I can change. Because see, this query I cannot change. If I put it over here, I cannot change it. If I want to change this value, it will be difficult for me, because once a stored procedure is created, it won't be, I won't be able to update it. So every time I need to alter it, that is not a feasible solution for it. So what we can do, we will be creating a variable. How we will create a variable? We write at the rate and then we give the name of that particular variable, and then we give the data type of that particular variable. Now here, this is a user defined variable. There are two types of variable which are available into the SQL. The first one is user defined, which we have defined over here, and the second one is system defined, which is with double at the rate. So if you see any double at the rate variables, that are system defined variables and not user defined. Now here, user defined variables are those which are defined by you and me, the developers or the users who are using the SQL server. But double at the rate variables are defined by the system and by the kernel, so that it will help them to and initialize certain variables and to make the SQL query smoother. Okay, so here it is declared like this. If you want to use it, you can create it outside the stored procedure as well, and you can test it by your own as well. Now here I have written the SQL query, okay, and then I have ended it. So I have already created this. And how you will execute that stored procedure? So there is a way. We will be writing execute, and then we will be writing the procedure name. And then if we have a variable, this is completely optional. I will repeat myself, this is completely optional. If I don't want any variable to be created, I will not create a variable, and then I will be simply writing the exe and the stored procedure name, and when I execute this, I can get the same result. Now see, this complex query, if I don't want this query to be given to anybody, I will create a stored procedure and I will simply give this as a query to the person whom I want to execute it and get the result. If I change it tomorrow by 15, okay, so by 15 I supposed to get only one record. Okay, I'm getting the record. That is how the stored procedure works. Now, what are the benefits of it? There are three benefits. The first and the foremost is it reduces the complexity. As you can see, the complex code is written inside the stored procedure, and I have created a stored procedure and then I am using it. So it reduces the complexity, it provides the security. So it made my query, my tables, my data secured inside the stored procedure so that nobody is able to see what I have written inside my SQL queries. Then the third thing is we have covered about the complexity, we have covered about the security, and we make it reusable. Okay, it is the reusability which is given by stored procedure to us so that we can use as many times as much we want. Okay, so if I want to replicate it for 10 times, I can just write it down and change the values to it so that I can get different results in different executions. Okay, I don't need to rewrite this much of code. Now imagine a situation I have written only 2 lines of code, but imagine a situation if I have, you know, hundreds of line of code and I want that thing to be executed again and again. So it reduces the load time, it reduces the load onto the system so that it can executed faster, it can executed faster, and it will store the results and it will give us the results. Okay, that is how the stored procedure works. I hope I'm able to explain the stored procedure in a good way. If you have any questions or any doubts regarding the topic which I have covered today, you can, you can put your uh, doubts, your questions, your, queries into the chat box, into the chat box, and we will be discussing it into our next session. That's all for today. Thank you so much. Please subscribe us so that it motivates us to create more such videos. Thank you.